am attorney Marie-Chris Bathan-Lasco. This is my virtual classroom. Welcome to my YouTube channel. In this channel, I shall aim to simplify the law. I will discuss concepts and principles of law in under 10 minutes. Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. In my other video, I talked about the role of your board of directors. In a stock corporation, what is the role that your board of trustees actually play in a non-stock corporation? I also discussed in that video, I will put the link down below or the link up there. I also talked about the business judgment rule. Now, in this video, I want us to talk about the composition of your board of directors or trustees. How do you qualify to become a director or a trustee? How long can you become a director or a trustee? And how many directors or trustees do we actually have for certain types of corporations? Now let's talk about the term of directors or trustees. For how long can they hold such position as a director in a stock corporation or as a trustee in a non-stock corporation? Your revised corporation code tells us that if you are elected as a director, then you shall hold a term of 1 year. If you're elected as a trustee in a non-stock corporation, you can hold a term for not more than 3 years. That is Section 22 of your revised corporation code, particularly the second paragraph, where it says, directors shall be elected for a term of 1 year from among the holders of stocks registered in the corporation's books, while trustees shall be elected for a term not exceeding 3 years from among the members of the corporation. So, that is 1 year for a director and not exceeding a 3-year term for a trustee in a non-stock corporation. Now, how do you qualify or how can you become qualified to become a director or trustee in a corporation? Let's talk about qualifying as a director first. For you to become a director, you must be a holder of at least 1 share of stock. The second requirement is that you must be the registered owner of such share or shares of stocks that you own in the corporation. And lastly, you must continue to be the holder of those shares of stocks, if there is more than one, for the entire period that you are a director. Let's talk about that one by one. The first requisite is that for you to become a director in a stock corporation, you must at least be a holder of at least 1 share of stock. Now, why is there a stock ownership requirement for you to become a director? Remember that the board of directors, the role of such is that they are the governing body of the corporation. The powers of the corporation are being exercised through them. And therefore, it is important that the directors in the board actually look into the interests of the corporation. If you are a shareholder, if you have a stake in the corporation, then clearly you will look out for the best interests of the corporation. That is the rationale. That is the reason behind the stock ownership requirement. The second requirement is that you must be the registered owner of the shares of stock in the corporation. Why? Is there a time that you are actually the owner but you are not the registered owner? Yes, in a voting trust agreement. So it's like A buying the shares of stock in a corporation, but that purchase was registered in the name of X by virtue of an agreement between them. So here, while A is really the owner as he purchased those shares, X is the registered owner. So who can qualify as a director? Is it A or is it X? Your revised corporation code tells you that you must be the registered owner. And so in that scenario, it should be X, who is the one registered in the books of the corporation as owner, who may be elected as a director and not A. And then we have the third requisite or requirement, that the director to continue as such during his term, he must be a holder of the stock for the entire duration or period of his term of office as a director. This means then that once you're elected as a director, you being a holder of at least a share of stock, you must not sell your shares during the period that you are a director. You may sell some, but you must not sell all your shares. Why? Because if you sell all your shares, then automatically you cease to become a director, even if you will buy it a week after, because the law is clear that you must continue to be a holder of such during your term as director. Now, these three requirements are actually those that are provided for by your revised corporation code. Can the corporation add more qualifications for you to become a director? The answer is yes, so long as that is provided for in the bylaws of the corporation, which is considered the fundamental law of the corporation. Now, question. Can a juridical person become a director in a corporation? Considering that a juridical person can actually now become an incorporator in a corporation. Under Section 10 of your revised corporation code, we have discussed, and I have discussed that in another video. I will put the link here or I'll put the link down below. We have said that under the revised corporation code section 10, you can have incorporators, you can have rather partnerships and corporations to become incorporators in a corporation. This was not allowed prior to the revised corporation code. Does that mean also that you can also have corporations or partnerships as directors in a corporation? The answer is no. It is deducible from Section 22 that only natural persons can be directors. If we were to allow corporations or partnerships to become directors, then what would happen now to your board of directors? It could happen that there is no one sitting actually as a director because these are all juridical persons. Now, what then would be the remedy of a corporation or a registered partnership who is a stockholder in a corporation who would want to have someone in their corporation or in their partnership to have a seat in the board of directors? They can actually appoint someone. However, they must give that person whom they have chosen to elect as a member of the board of directors, they must give him a qualifying share. Why? Why is there a need for that? Because again, we said that a director, for him to be qualified as such, must be a registered owner of such share. So at least he has one share that is registered in the books of the corporation so that he may be elected as one of the directors of the board. Is there a citizenship or residence requirement to become a director? The answer is no. Your revised corporation code does not require directors to be Filipino citizens or to be a resident of the Philippines. Now, when you go over Section 22 of your revised corporation code, you will see there the term independent directors and the requirement of such independent directors to be in corporations vested with public interest. Now, what is an independent director? An independent director is, of course, a shareholder in the corporation, and he is elected as such. Now, how is he different from the other directors? The independent director has no other connection with the corporation except for his being a shareholder. He also does not take active part in the management of the corporation. What is the purpose of having an independent director? What is the reason behind the law requiring that there must be such independent director in corporations vested with public interest? The reason for that is your independent director is supposed to be a watchdog in the corporation, considering that the corporation is vested with public interest. So he sees to it, or they see to it, that everything is in order, that everything is done to protect the corporation and its stakeholders. Now, there are other reasons where an independent, a particular person rather, is being elected as an independent director. It could be by virtue of his expertise, and he could lend some advice to the other directors in the corporation who are taking active part in the management of the business, because they're also corporate officers. Or for reputational purposes, as when a stockholder may be a known philanthropist, and so to give a good reputation for the corporation, he could be elected as one of the directors, making him an independent director. Now, what corporations are covered that are required to have independent directors? Let's read that particular portion of Section 22 of your revised corporation code. It says, the board of the following corporations vested with public interest shall have independent directors constituting at least 20% of such board. A. Corporations covered by Section 17.2 of Republic Act Number 8799, otherwise known as the Securities Regulation Code, namely those whose securities are registered with the Commission, corporations listed with an exchange or with assets of at least 50 million pesos, and having 200 or more holders of shares, each holding at least 100 shares of a class of its equity shares. B. Banks and quasi-banks, NSSLAs, pawn shops, corporations engaged in money service business, pre-need, trust and insurance companies, and other financial intermediaries, and other corporations engaged in business vested with public interests similar to the above, as may be determined by the Commission after taking into account relevant factors which are germane to the objective and purpose of requiring the election of an independent director, such as the extent of minority ownership, type of financial products or securities issued or offered to investors, public interest involved in the nature of business operations, and other analogous factors. So those are the covered corporations, the corporations that are vested with public interest, that are required to have independent directors constituting at least 20% of the board. Now, let's move on to the qualification to become a trustee. What are the qualifications? There's actually just only one qualification to become a trustee, that you are a member in good standing of such non-stock corporation. So that ends our video discussion on the term of your directors or trustees, and also the qualifications to become a director or trustee. I hope that you have learned something from this video, and as I always say, I will see you in the next. So if you find this video helpful, please click like, subscribe, and that notification bell so that you will be notified of new video uploads. Thank you for watching. See you next time in MBL Classroom.